take it out on an animal.
I know. You're an expert dog trainer, are you?
Oh, I don't know, whipping a dog and
Whipping?
Yeah, that's what I'm
What did I whip? I didn't bring my whip today.
Oh, excellent.
Hey guys, how's your Chilled Canine? Today let's talk about being shamed for correcting your dog in public or being ashamed of correcting your dog in public. Now, this came up, and I was kind of thinking about this today because we got a really bad case of reactivity in today. And, it was a 16, 17-month-old female. And this is the kind of dog, who's not just reacting out of fear. This is the type of dog who finds it very intrinsically rewarding to be reactive. And she's the kind of dog that will definitely work up to the place where she will bite another dog, and also she's also reactive towards children as well, and sometimes to adults. So the behavior is significant enough that the family is basically saying, listen, it's either gets fixed or we rehome her or put her down. So it's do or die with this dog, as it often is. I mean, nobody wants to have to live like that. And unfortunately, because she's 16, 17 months old, the behavior for her is very entrenched. And like I said, she's not a dog that's really weak, that's really nervous. She's actually a fairly, confident girl. She's a pretty tough girl, and she gets a lot of intrinsic reward from offering that behavior. So anyways, we took her into public for the sake of the video. Normally, of course, we spend a few weeks at Shield Canine, get everything kind of evened out here at Shield Canine. Then we take the dog into public. But I said, this is the perfect one for the video. And the problem is with the reactive dogs, if I don't take them into public and actually show the behavior, people don't believe me when I say that the dog was reactive and this is how you fix it. So, of course, seeing is believing. I had to take the dog in public and show people. Also, a lot of you people that are training with us online, you don't have, the benefit of a dog training facility where everything's kind of, under control and you can dictate, how many dogs are out and how the distance and all that stuff. You guys are out in the real world with your reactive dogs and you're struggling right now. So I said, let me take this dog out and let me show you in the real world how I would deal with this problem. Because for me with reactive dogs, we deal with the reactivity first. It's not like, oh, we'll do all the training, then deal with it last. No, because I can't, personally for me, I can't train a dog if it's going nuts every time it sees another dog. And I don't play the hide and seek game where I'm always, right away, I'm like, dude, this for me, this isn't advanced training. Advanced training is off-leash obedience, structured play, all that kind of stuff. Being just around other dogs, I expect you to do that right off the hop. And with us, with the reactive dogs, it's right away. Listen, there's 10 dogs out all the time. That one's barking over there. That one's playing with his handler. Maybe that one's being reactive too. You got to deal with it. And we expect you to behave yourself. And we put that expectation on the dogs right away. And most of them, within 5 minutes, they're good. But like I said, this particular female, very spicy little girl, and very intense in that behavior, very resilient to corrections and very intense in the behavior. So anyways, I took her out and I said, this is a very good dog for people to see, what more of a difficult dog looks like. So, I had her in a choke chain and took her out to a local park. And, we corrected her a number of times for being reactive. Quite a few times, actually, because we just kept running into dogs and she would stop with the correction, but then every new dog she would go again. And a lot of times, you'll see after one or two, if you do it properly, the dogs will stop. But for this female, and again, I said I know the blood, so I'm not particularly surprised because I know that she gets a lot out of it. She kept showing that intensity and that reactivity towards the other dogs every time we'd run into another one. So, of course, listen, this is just the new way of things. Corrected her, and then we were able to make some good passes as well. But again, that video is going to be for the people that are in our online training and the people that get the course on reactivity as well as the off-leash obedience course. But anyways, I digress. So I'm going to show you guys the video of the female, how she kind of is, and then also the video of the correction that garnered us somebody that decided that they were going to follow us and shame us and so on and so forth. So that video is coming right now. Do that. Okay, guys, so you've seen the video. You've seen how she was, and you saw the correction that that garnered us the attention of this individual. So this lady decided that after we corrected the dog, and we just moved on, right? We corrected the dog and we moved on. You can see her dog's kind of intense, and he's a little tiny dog, but intense and pulling towards our female, which is what gets her going. This female, she's already reactive, but if another dog is showing arousal and intensity towards her, it makes her way worse. So anyways, we corrected her, as you saw in the video, right? And it was quite a firm correction, as she needs, all right? And we moved right on. Anyways, we noticed this lady's following us, right? We kept looking back there, and she would be following us and standing there and like staring at us and so on and so forth. And I said, oh, I know what she's going to do. She's going to kind of try and intimidate us by just hanging around, like, as if we've done some crime against humanity, so on and so forth. And anyways, I guess finally, she saw that we weren't going anywhere. So she mustered up the courage and actually followed us up a city block, like an entire block, followed us to the opposite end of the park and walked up on me. So for those of you that didn't see, basically the lady goes, oh, I think you have some kind of anger issues. You're taking all your anger out on an animal. And I was like, it's funny. I kind of responded to her in the moment because she's being ridiculous. So I was kind of a little bit ridiculous back. I know, probably shouldn't have even engaged. But at the end of the day, it kind of upsets me because you don't know what I'm doing. Right? Like, obviously I'm out there. I got a camera guy, I'm wearing the Shield Canine thing. Like, obviously I'm doing something. And I'm not angry. I'm not screaming at the dog or anything like that. And I say, why would you assume that I corrected this dog because I'm angry, that I have this internal anger, and that's why I corrected the dog? Why would you assume that? And I realized, oh, she's probably, and I notice a lot of people say this. They use this kind of like shaming language, like, oh, you must be so angry. Oh, what are you getting out of it? Like, you must think you're some kind of big man and stuff and stuff. And I realize it's projection. It's emotional projection. It's like, why are you putting this in emotional terms? Why are you assuming that what I'm doing here is an emotional thing? There's nothing emotional about this. This is part of a thought out plan to deal, like a proven strategy to deal with these reactive dogs. We've dealt with countless ones of them by now. You can check our Google reviews and see the hundreds of clients that we've helped. You can see our videos, so on and so forth. It's well documented that, we're able to deal with this problem. This is part of our proven strategy. We know what we're doing. We know how to deal with the problem. We know how to get the dog in a place where mentally, she's balanced and she's not acting like a maniac anymore. But why would you, just walking by on the street, assume that, I'm operating out of like some kind of strange internal, emotional place? Like, this isn't, why are you framing this in an emotional kind of like using shaming language and emotions and stuff like this? I realize it's projection. They can't think of any kind of logical way to explain what it is that you're doing. And instead of actually asking an insightful question like, hey, like, that looks kind of a little bit difficult. Why are you doing that? Instead of doing that right away, the entitled kind of, I'm emotional and I feel this way and I would never do something like that unless I was really mad. So therefore you must be mad too. I only correct my dog when I'm angry. So you must be only correcting your dog when you're angry too. Right? It's that kind of emotional projection, always kind of trying to take the moral high ground and put you down for doing something. And the reason why I decided to talk about this, because I know a lot of you guys struggle with this. A lot of you guys are afraid to do this. Well, number one, listen, we're in Canada here. Completely legal to correct your dog in the context of training, especially if you're doing something like preventing your dog from being aggressive and ending up, with a muzzle order or, God forbid, being confiscated and put down or, and in this case, like I said already, the owners are at the point where they're going to give her away or they're going to put her down. Like, that's a terrible outcome for a dog. And I don't know who they're going to give her away to the way she is. Like, you're not giving her to anybody the way she is. This dog could literally die if we don't resolve this behavior, right? We're not, there's no like, we're not doing this because we think we're badass or anything like this. There's no joy to be taken in this, right? The only joy is at the end when we deal with this problem and the dog is now able to live a normal, happy life, right? Now, I'm here to tell you, listen, guys, no one else, that lady, by the way, that lady's dog was reactive. That lady's dog was pulling her everywhere. Of course, he's about 5 pounds, so, she can get away with not properly training him. But this dog is not 5 pounds. So you guys have to understand, listen, I'm responsible for this dog. You are responsible for your dog. That lady and people like her, they're never going to do anything to help you. I had one lady who we passed her. She's a nice old lady, right? She means well. We passed her. Her dog's being reactive, pulling her on the harness. She's barely hanging on because she's about like 80 pounds. She's like, treats work too. And I'm like, well, they haven't really worked. She's like, I forgot my treats today, but they work. I'm like, okay, well, lady, your dog's being reactive. So I don't know why you're telling me the treats work. And I could see how the apprehension on your face when you're passing my dog. What kind of life is that for your dog? Bet you that dog never gets off his 4-foot leash except when he's in the backyard, right? Like, what a horrible life. This dog, Roxy, okay, that you see in this video, this is day one. Once we're done with her, once we've had our 6 weeks with Roxy, she's going to be off leash. She's going to be living a much better life than any of these people's dogs, right? What a good thing for her. She's not going to die. She's not going to be put down. She's not going to be given away. That's the outcome of the training. So when you look at it from that context, listen, people go to the vet. You go to the vet, right? What does your vet do? He shoves pieces of sharp metal into your dogs. Sometimes they cut your dog open. Sometimes they take parts off your dog. They often do quite painful things to your dogs. Why do you do that to your dog? Because you're an abuser? Because you're getting some kind of weird, sick, emotional satisfaction out of doing that? No. You take your dog to your vet, and your vet inflicts temporary trauma and stress and pain and fear on your dog because in the end it's going to improve, or you believe anyways, it's going to improve his quality or her quality of life, right? And we know this. But for some reason, we've allowed people to frame, like training, in my opinion, is more important than shots. It literally can be the determination between a dog that ends up staying with his or her family or a dog that gets put down or given away. What a traumatic thing for a dog to be given away. There's literally probably nothing worse for a dog other than death to be given away. You know how intensely social they are. You know how much they love their family. They're bred like this. They're domesticated for thousands of years. We've selected dogs specifically for this, to really love their family, to form a deep emotional connection to the people that they live with, even if sometimes they misbehave. They still have that connection. What a terrible, terrible thing to take that from a dog, because you aren't willing to give the dog you aren't willing to go through the temporary discomfort and difficulty of giving your dog the right kind of training and the necessary discipline in order for him or her to function in the real world. Imagine saying, my dog could be off leash. My dog could have all the freedom in the world. We could go off leash hiking. I could take my dog. Listen, I just took my dogs to Banff last summer. You guys saw videos of that. My dogs didn't even wear a leash the entire time. They had the time of their lives. They literally had so much fun. That could be your dogs every day if you just did the right thing. But no, we have to be emotional about it. We have to cast aspersions. And we allow people to do this. People with no reason. Like this lady, is standing around, acting all high and mighty when her dog's misbehaving. And another lady's giving me advice when her dog has the problem that she's giving me advice on how to fix. And this is the internet, guys. This is the internet. All the people that are making comments on the YouTube, all the people that, making the negative comments, that is, all the people, on Google writing up how to fix reactive dogs, their dogs are reactive. All the people in the neighborhood trying to shame you for doing what you need to do because, somebody like me who's done it many times and knows what the real outcome of it is, tells you, hey man, this is what you need to do. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit rough. Yeah, your dog's going to be, stressed and uncomfortable, but guess what? Your dog's not exactly in a good place right now anyways, right? And in the end, it's going to be really good for you and for your dog and for your lives together. So don't let those types of people hold you and your dog back. because only you are going to live with your dog. And your dog is going to be the individual that reaps the direct rewards or the direct consequences of you training them properly or not training them properly.